Mr. Stu Burgier.
There's been a lot going on over this week.
There has been. Let me start with the new news. And the new news was covered in a tweet on Friday by the New York Times. And then yesterday, was it yesterday or is it today's New York Times, published a story on page A15, and it's not in the Washington Post.
Okay.
This is one of the biggest stories of all time in America, because this one now is a smoking gun with the evidence. We now have the documentation. Let me start here. September 12th, 2016. Inside one of the secure briefing rooms of the intelligence community, a document was circulated quietly, and its language was unambiguous. Quote, foreign adversaries do not have and will probably not obtain the capabilities to successfully execute widespread and undetected cyber attacks on election systems. That's not Fox News. That's not talk radio. That's the Office of the Director of National Intelligence under Barack Obama. Now confirmed by Tulsi Gabbard's declassification. The conclusion is there is no threat of Russian hacking of the vote, not of changing the numbers, not flipping machines or running some sort of sci-fi sabotage on democracy. Meanwhile, we're being told something entirely different. Hillary Clinton's campaign was hemorrhaging. You remember this? The second as she starts to hemorrhage and Barack Obama starts to race ahead in the polls, another campaign was taking shape, not for office, but for perception. Inside of John Brennan's CIA and James Comey's FBI, the chatter grew that Moscow was coming for our democracy. Emails were leaked from the DNC, though the attribution was a little sketchy at the time. Low confidence, according to the NSA. The leaks were amplified by the press operation of the Clinton and DNC. October 7th, 2016, the DNI, Clapper, and DHS jointly state that Russia is directing cyber attacks. Wait a minute, I thought they just said they what? Internal memos from the same week show that the key agency still had serious doubts about it. Perception, however, is now set into motion. The election ends. Donald Trump, shock to everyone, he wins. The White House panic sets in. So a meeting is called on December 9th, 2016, in the Situation Room. Everyone is there. Clapper, Brennan, Susan Rice, McCabe, Kerry, and President Obama. What was the purpose? Not to reassess, but to rewrite. That night, according to the Obama DNI, their own record, instructions are issued to scrap the post-election briefing that had reaffirmed no Russian interference at all, and have the intelligence community rewrite a new draft. And we have in the DNI's own handwriting that a new assessment on Russia's influence has been ordered per the president's request. That president was Barack Obama. Now, the original briefing that was supposed to go into the president's daily briefing that day was scrubbed. We have a memo that says the night before, we're going to hold this off because there's new information that the president is asking us to include. No foreign actor changed a single vote. No foreign actor affected the election outcome. But that had to be changed. January 2017, just days before Trump is inaugurated, a new briefing from the intelligence community, ICA, is the briefing. It's released, and it completely reverses the course. It no longer says Russia didn't influence the election. It says now Russia did influence the election. No smoking gun, no new evidence, just a new tone. That change, now backed by Brennan and Clapper, echoed by Obama, was enough to justify a 2-year, multi-million-dollar investigation into Trump and Russia. This is right as Susan Rice is leaving the White House. Remember, now they have the intelligence community saying, "Oh no, there he is, interference with Russia. He was involved with Russia." Okay? So what does the president do? Right before he leaves, he calls Comey and Brennan and Clapper and Susan Rice into his office. We've covered this before, and said, "I think there needs to be an investigation." FBI says, "I don't see anything there. I think there needs to be an investigation." After that meeting, Susan Rice, when she leaves the White House, this is the very last thing she does. She issues a memo. President Obama began the conversation. Now, this is to herself. Why do you email stuff to yourself? President Obama began the conversation by stressing his continued commitment to ensuring that every aspect of this issue is handled by intelligence and law enforcement communities by the book. The president stressed he's not asking about initiating or instructing anything from a law enforcement perspective. He reiterated that our law enforcement team needs to proceed as it normally would, all by the book. Now, is that for her to remember what happened, or is that just to make sure she's on the record? No, this is what happened. Okay. Trump is in office. And what do we get? Crossfire hurricane. Using the Steele dossier. Where did that come from? They said that was funded by a Republican. No, it wasn't. It was funded by the Clinton campaign. We know that. The DNC. This is the scaffolding to wiretap Trump associates. Carter Page. George Papadopoulos. The FBI alleged coordination, conspiracy, treason. In fact, one FBI agent changed the documents to be able to obtain those wireless warrants so they could tap these phones and follow these people and get into the campaign. Again, he changed the documents. An FBI lawyer did. Changed the documents to read the opposite of what the documents actually said, and then testified in a FISA court that those documents were real. And it was those documents that allowed the government to spy on the Trump campaign. Durham is appointed now to investigate the investigators, and he issues a report that tiptoes on the edge of justice and then blinks. As for accountability, it never came. The people responsible for shaping the false narrative become TV analysts, memoir writers, board members. Clapper is still on TV saying the same stuff. Now, on Friday, Tulsi Gabbard, the director of the National Intelligence, our new DNI, declassified the hundreds of pages of memos, emails, assessments, each confirming what I think we already knew, but what many feared. The Russia hoax wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't just political bias. It wasn't even weaponizing the government. It was treasonous conspiracy. It was a president, along with others, conspiring to take down a presidency, working together in coordination, and using the press to push it all out. Now, Tulsi was on Maria Bartiromo yesterday. She said, "I can't fathom how Mueller and Durham missed any of this." They didn't miss it, and she knows that. She said that. They chose not to follow the evidence. The whole machine, from the press to the prosecutors, geared not towards justice, but protection of the narrative. And at the center of that narrative, Gabbard says, is Barack Obama himself. He didn't just know, he orchestrated the shift from no cyber manipulation to the Russians stole the election. Remember Hillary Clinton on television saying he stole the election. How many times did you hear that? He stole the election. How did he steal it? He stole it with Russia. From truth to story. She's releasing more documents maybe as early as today. Now, this isn't Watergate, because that was petty. That was a burglary, and there was nothing big in that. It could have been a setup by the same kind of people in the CIA to get rid of a president and perform a coup on a president. We don't know for sure, but it's never made sense. Why would the president go after this using CIA operatives to go in and get information that he was winning the election? And there was nothing in that DNC headquarters that could have helped him. This is much colder. This is institutional. This was a presidential administration weaponizing something they doctored. The intelligence was doctored, suppressing inconvenient truths and launching then a psychological operation on the American public. You have to understand, they not only doctored, then they presented it as truth. They weaponized it. They then colluded with the media. And they did a psychological operation on you, the American public, to get you to believe it. So much so that the New York Times has run this story on page A15 today. They tweeted it, and it's on page A15. That's how the Washington Post isn't even reporting any of this. So now what? Well, Tulsi Gabbard says it's time for indictments, and this is going to go back to Pam Bondi. And if there are no indictments, it's going to be trouble. And not out of vengeance, but so it doesn't happen again. We cannot allow unelected bureaucrats and presidents or political elites to fabricate consent, to redefine what the truth is based not on fact, but on usefulness to them. This, so you know, is no longer a conspiracy theory. The documents are real. They're out. The voices are named. The signatures are in ink. And the line runs not through Moscow, but through Langley. The American people have to trust in the integrity of our democratic republic. Accountability is essential. That's what Gabbard said over the weekend. And she is right. We're not looking at the aftermath of a political smear here. We are staring right in the eye the scar of an attempted coup. And it was perpetrated not by a bunch of people around the president, and the president didn't know. This was at the direction of President Barack Obama. I'll give you more because this is what they're claiming. But let me take it a step further. Let me show you what this all led to. This is where the grand conspiracy comes into play, because nothing has happened to these people. These people are all still in play. In a minute. First, many of the famous old fables we learn have a common thread. Somebody sees what's coming before somebody else does. The farmer who stores up the grain before the famine. The sailor who reads the clouds before the storm. The pioneer who spots, the spring in a land of dry dust. And they don't call it luck. They call it preparation. That's why smart people are turning to physical gold and silver, because they've read the signs. They've watched the value of the dollar shrink, and they understand something. When things get rough, tangible assets mean something when paper stuff doesn't. Lear Capital makes it really simple to move a portion of your savings into something that has stood the test of time, something real, something solid, something that doesn't flinch when Washington plays games with the economy. In every story, there are people who prepare and then people who build their house of sticks. Which one are you? Call Lear Capital today, 800-957-GOLD, 800-957-GOLD. Get your free $4,200 gold report before it's a history book. Call 800-957-GOLD and ask them about getting up to $15,000 in free gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. Call 800-957-GOLD. 10 seconds and back to the program. Okay, I want you to know, well, first of all, hi, Stu.
Hi, Glenn. This is fascinating. I didn't
You've been on
follow
vacation.
the TikTok of this the entire week.
Nobody's giving it.
We're okay.
Nobody's giving it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is incredible. Matt Taibbi says this is the most important thing. He said something, I'm paraphrasing horribly, and I agree with him 100%. If we don't fix this one, the republic is over. If we don't care about this, you have no republic.
That's quite the statement.
Yeah, it's pretty serious.
Yeah.
And this is, this was a coup. And the same people who tried to have a coup on Donald Trump did a coup on Joe Biden. Same people. Notice Susan Rice was around that one. Notice that Barack Obama was around that one. Notice Hillary Clinton was around that one. All of the same people that tried to do this in 2016, when it was revealed that Joe Biden was a meat sock.
That's the medical term. That's just so everyone knows.
What did they do? They conspired to get him to quit. That was a coup. He didn't want to. He wasn't going to. Get him to quit. Start to say that he was, not competent, which he wasn't competent. Then what did they do? Then they got together, just a group of them. We don't even know who, but just a small group of them decided who would be the candidate that they would run for president of the United States. There wasn't a vote. Nothing happened. That was not a democratic process. Thank God it didn't work. But that is 2 attempted coups. It's 2 times. The first one didn't work. The second one did work. And then they tried to put a president in without an election. You didn't pick Kamala Harris. No Democrat voted for her. Even when she was running by herself for president, no one voted for her. Who was it that picked her? Same exact people. Same exact people who said the Hunter laptop was all bogus. Same people. Who was running the the White House under Joe Biden? A lot of people say that it was President Barack Obama's 3rd term, right? Why? Because the same people that were in that meeting were around the table under Biden. Who was really running it? This is a huge revelation. It dwarfs everything else. And I know, I'm just like you. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. But there should be some pretty big perp walks on this one.
This is Glenn Beck.
I mean, I know you are just like me. We take our safety and the safety of our family very, very seriously. And I'm sure, you don't mess around with it. And I'm sure, just like I do in my family, I have kids and, people that just don't want to carry a gun, aren't comfortable with a gun. But you have to be prepared for a moment when trouble comes looking for you. This is why I carry a Byrna launcher, and I urge my family, all of my kids have a Byrna launcher, and I've told them, put it in the glove box of your car. That's the most dangerous place for a woman. You stop and get gas, you are a sitting target. This is a non-lethal self-defense tool that fires pepper rounds or tear gas at high velocity. It gives you a way to protect yourself, your family, should anybody want to cross that line. You'll teach them, don't cross that line. You can end a threat without ending a life. Have that option. Go to Byrna.com right now, get yours, or use their retail store locator to find the nearest location offering live demonstrations, including Sportsman's Warehouse stores. Byrna retail stores and authorized premier dealers. It's Byrna.com.
Get all this information and so much more with a free email newsletter from glennbeck.com. Sign up now. Glenn Beck.
Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. So let's start it again at the beginning because you're not hearing this from anybody in the mainstream. Barack Obama is president 2016. Hillary Clinton is expected to be the winner. She then starts, because it starts to get dicey, she's looking for anything she can do to smear Donald Trump. She then starts to put together the Crossfire Hurricane file. The Crossfire Hurricane file is completely discredited. I mean, there's nothing in it that is real. You know, it shows that Donald Trump was with hookers in Russia, that he and Russia have a bank account that are, pinging each other all the time. Remember all of this? Okay. That all came from Hillary Clinton through Crossfire Hurricane Fusion GPS. Fusion GPS puts together the Steele dossier. When she loses, she goes to the White House, and Clapper, who is part of all of this stuff with Hillary Clinton, goes to the White House, and Barack Obama does not want Donald Trump in. He's got to find a way to stop Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton is saying Russia stole the election. Remember? We never say they stole the election. Yeah, you did. All about Donald Trump. He's not a legitimate president. He stole it in collusion with Russia. So Barack Obama is about to get a report, an assessment from the intelligence community. It's called an ICA, Intelligence Community Assessment. And it was about to say there's no collusion with Russia, that Russia was not capable of hacking into anything or doing anything to throw our election. All right. He stops that before it's printed. He's alerted that it's coming in print form. He says, stop, meet me in my office tomorrow. Bring all the players in. I want to have a talk with you. He has a talk with them. I need this to read this way: that Russia did influence the election. Then, after he gets that from he gets a new ICA saying that, yes, they did. Now he can go to the FBI and say, they did. Here's this Crossfire Hurricane. Here's this Fusion GPS. I need you to look at this, from Christopher Steele. Christopher Steele is known by the FBI. They fired this guy. He was somebody who was a source, but he had so discredited himself, he was no longer on the payroll of the FBI. He had been discredited by the FBI. But for some reason, they overlooked that. To make sure that this went through, Clapper releases the Fusion GPS documents to the press. And now it's in the press. Now everybody's talking about it. Now we have to do an investigation on this. As he orders the FBI I want you to look into this. I just want you to look into this Fusion GPS thing, Christopher Steele dossier. That's when not Condoleezza, but Susan Rice writes on her last day, he didn't tell the FBI what to do. He was just making a suggestion that they just do what they should do and they would normally always do. Okay. All right. So there's the seed of all of this conspiracy. When Trump wins, panic sets in. So they've got to do something. All right. So that's what happens. But in the meantime, as they are burying all of this true information and leaking information to the press that brings everybody to Russia, there's another scandal that is happening. And this one is in Ukraine. This scandal is on a totally different front. This is at the same time all this stuff is happening. Hunter Biden is on the board of Burisma, corrupt gas company raking in millions of dollars with no experience. And the Ukrainian prosecutor is investigating that company. And Joe Biden comes back and he brags about getting him fired by threatening to withhold $1 billion U.S. aid package. Hillary Clinton's people are there. Soros is there. All the usual suspects are there. This is a State Department operation over in Ukraine. This is USAID. All of this stuff is happening over in Ukraine. Soon as Donald Trump calls to talk to the new Ukrainian president, and the Ukrainian president says, hey, we have some real problems with Russia. He says, fine, I'll send that to you. But I would really like your help in looking into all the corruption that was going on. Corruption that was perpetrated by whom? The same exact players that were in President Obama's office with all of this. They panic. We really have to stop Donald Trump. So they make up a story that he had said, I'm going to hold back your aid unless you produce this evidence. Pretty much, remember, they always do what they say we're doing. Pretty much exactly what Obama and his group had done in 2016. They're now accusing Trump of doing in Ukraine. You follow? Does this make sense? He's asking them, can you tell me what happened? And he's now impeached over that. Now let that sink in. The same people who manufactured a Russia hoax now impeach a sitting president for trying to expose the people who were involved in that corruption. It's projection, it's insurance, and it's a cover-up that has to keep covering. But they weren't finished. Before the 2020 election, all of a sudden, a Hunter laptop appears. And what do they say? This is Russian disinformation. When it looks like somebody's going to print it, somebody's going to run with it, what do? The same exact people in the FBI and intelligence community go to the social media companies and say, this is a Russia hoax. And then how many former intelligence officers sign that letter? Who put that letter together? Clapper. The same guy that was in the original meeting where Susan Rice says nothing weird happened here. And Clapper puts that together and says this is all a hoax. So now they're covering again. All the emails, all the contracts, all the corruption, same cast of intelligence officials sign that public letter. This is all Russian disinformation. Another lie, another operation, and again, the press continues to listen to these people, like Clapper, who is now, I think, on a payroll of one of these companies, as a press commentator. Then what happens? Then you have President Biden winning. He wins. But then what happens? You've got to take Trump out. So you have January 6th. And yes, it was chaotic. Yes, people acted shamefully. Some of these were real anarchists. I don't know what their political belief was, but some of them were anarchists. But there's some questions about January 6th. Where is the pipe bomb? Where is the pipe bomber? There were 2 pipe bombs. One of them almost killed the vice president. Why was she moved from the Capitol to the DNC headquarters where the pipe bomb was? Why did that happen? How did all of a sudden every single record from the Secret Service just disappear? All their phone records, all the records on why she was moved, all of that just gone, just disappeared. It happens, Why couldn't we there was no camera on the pipe bomb, and who placed that pipe bomb? Why? The camera was aimed at the same place for at least 6 months, and then right before this happens, it's moved in another direction. Right after they find the pipe bomb, it's moved back into that direction. Why? Why did they never look for the scaffold man? The guy who was up on the scaffolding directing the crowd what to do. We don't even know who that was. We don't know his name. How about Ray Epps? How about the people from the FBI and intelligence community that said there were no FBI agents on the ground that day? There were no CIA or FBI operatives on the ground. Then it was, we don't know if there were any. And then once they lose this election, we find out there were 25 of them on the ground. Why? Why did the surveillance tapes that were held back suddenly contradict the sworn testimony of the hero cop? He wasn't even in the part of the building he said he was in. But nobody covered that. We did. Same cast of characters involved in that. A chance to do to Trump what they failed to do with Clinton and Obama, what they failed to do under Schiff and impeachment. Now they're trying to get him with January 6th, but that doesn't hold. So now what do? Now the same group of people, the same judges in many cases, they decide they're going to prosecute Donald Trump, and they're going to try to get him thrown into jail, find him guilty of a crime, any crime, to protect democracy. It's going to stop Hitler. But listen to what these people have done. They lied to a FISA court. They doctored evidence and then testified at a FISA court, which violates your rights as an American citizen. They then falsified intelligence. They spied on a campaign illegally. They framed a sitting president. Not once, not twice, counting still 3 times. They silenced the entire laptop story. They controlled the press. They opened our borders while lying about the effects and the causes. Remember, she was going on to a fact-finding mission to find out what was causing all these people. They knew what was causing them. It was their own NGOs that they were paying through government funds to bring all those people in. They never told you that. In fact, they lied about it. They told us, putting people up in hotels, that's ridiculous. That's exactly what they did. Then they lied about their involvement in bringing them across the borders. They lied about the Medicare going to the illegals that we're just finding out now. The same people who told you MS-13 gangs and gangs from Venezuela were not happening or they were not dangerous. They were racist tropes. The same people that let terrorists and terror cells into our country and then sent the exact same people back to the press to tell us that our borders were secure. And then finally lied about the president's mental fitness. They used the auto pin to pardon all or some of those involved in all of this. Then when Biden was found and seen to be incompetent, he wasn't removed from office. He was just removed from election. No one asked any questions. The same people, Clapper, Rice, Brennan, Obama. And then Obama and the Klan decided to run Kamala Harris. They decided that, not the people. They decided to run him. To run her. And again, no questions were asked. The press even went from, she's the absolute worst, to 2 days later, she is the savior of our republic. And now these same people are claiming their Fifth Amendment rights when asked a simple question. When did you know? Did you know the president was incompetent? That's what this is about. This is about the biggest conspiracy. This is about the deep state. If you think the Epstein thing was big, you're never going to get the Epstein. You'll never get the truth of the Epstein until this is stopped. This is the entire narrative of the last 10 years and a cabal of maybe 10 to 20 people that have orchestrated all of it. That's why it's on page A15 and not even found on the Washington Post today. This is massive. Back in just a second. Don't know if you are aware of this or not, but your cell phone company doesn't love you. Yeah, they're not sending you any Christmas cards. They're not thinking about you when they drift off to sleep at night. In fact, they're probably too busy funneling your money to woke political causes even to remember your name. But that's okay, because Patriot Mobile is ready to sweep you off your feet. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They believe in family and faith and freedom, and they put their money where their mouth is. They support pro-life organizations and religious freedom and the Second Amendment. And unlike your current phone company, they feel differently about you. They want you to be happy. You still get nationwide 5G service. You still get the excellent customer service. The only difference is your money isn't secretly funding the next round of cancellations or censorship or anti-American politics. Yeah, it's just a phone plan. But sometimes, the breakup with the wrong one feels pretty darn good, and you'll save money. Make the switch today. Go to patriotmobile.com/Beck or call 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT, promo code Beck. Get a free month of service, patriotmobile.com/Beck.
Beck. We'll be right back.
Okay, you and I both know omega-3 supplements, kind of been everywhere for years, especially fish oil, promising better cholesterol and reduced blood pressure and relief from joint pain and a bunch of other stuff. And for many people, these promises haven't fully delivered. If you're among those still waiting for noticeable benefits, here's why traditional fish oil might not be working for you. Not all omega-3 supplements are created equal. Typical fish oil capsules don't always provide omega-3s in a form that your body can effectively use. And that's where Native Path Antarctic krill oil comes in. Krill oil offers omega-3s in a highly absorbable form, and it includes a powerful antioxidant that standard fish oil lacks, making a real difference that you can feel. Ask yourself honestly, has your cholesterol improved? Has your blood pressure actually gone down? Do your joints feel significantly better if you've been taking fish oil all this time? If your answers aren't confidently positive, it's probably time for some sort of switch, right? Like try something else and something maybe you'll see some real results from. Right now, Native Path is offering an unbeatable deal up to 66% off and free shipping right now. Special offer is only available at nativekrill.com/blaze, nativekrill.com/blaze, nativekrill.com/blaze. Stop wondering if your supplement is working. Make the switch to something that delivers results. It's Native Path Antarctic krill oil, nativekrill.com/blaze.
Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. So we've got some comments from some listeners. Watergate is an appetizer compared to this, Glenn. Goldie writes in, I am so glad that normies are finally getting up to speed on what happened. Michael, Glenn, this is not just to prevent it again, it's for punishment. Amen. Prue, if anything comes from this, fine, but I don't expect anything to come from it. Sorry, but I only seem to see Republicans going to prison. Johnny, mere exposing of this won't prevent it from happening again. Punishing those who did this will. No punishment means it will happen again and again and again. You are absolutely right. Panopticon, okay, so get the information. Then what? Graybeard, sadly, none of the players will pay the price. Republicans have no spine for true justice. Schleppy says, I find it hard to care. This feels like an Epstein distraction. It's not. Stephanie, this is actually bigger than Epstein. You're right. Karen, blah, 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 until I see arrest, perp walks, and trials. I'll keep believing there's two different justice systems. Tammy, we know all this. Wish the other side would believe it. You're exactly right. You want to join the conversation, you want to be a part of the program, go to glennbeck.com to be a part of the program. glennbeck.com. More to...
This is Glenn Beck.